Hi everyone, welcome to the next part. And in this video I gathered a lot of cute animals. Let's start from this wonderful book by Korean artist, which I totally can't remember the name of, so I'm sorry, but the name of the book is The Day We Finally Met. I didn't have a very easy way, a very easy story, very happy story with this book, because from the very beginning I was so in love with this book that I was afraid to start coloring in it. And when I finally start to color, I did two very unsuccessful attempts. On the first one, I decided to use for the background neo colors, and I think that they look too bright. I know that it's not a disaster here, and by applying just a layer of pencils, probably polychromasis, I can save this book. But still, I realized that it won't be very easy to color in this book. After some time, I did second attempt. I remember that it was springtime and I wanted to create quite muted dark colors here and probably only couple of bright areas like clothes of the animals and maybe these flowers which start to bloom, and maybe also birds. But then I don't know why I wasn't very happy with the bricks which I did on the wall. Maybe they are too dark. Again, it's not ruined, but somehow still it's intimidated me to continue. And again, I put it away for some time. I made a break. But finally, my third attempt was successful, and now I have here a one finished work, and I am totally happy how it looks. I realized that I will have to color in this book mostly with pencils. I don't know why, but I can't say that I am happy how watercolors behave on this paper. It's quite thick, but still I would say that watercolor and water for any water soluble medium, it dissolves in the paper very quickly, so you don't have any time to spread pigment to get rid of the stains. But it's not bad because pictures are very detailed, so even with pencils it will be easy to do the background. I just had to realize it for myself. Here I have mix of Prismacolors mostly, but also polychromasis for the roses on the foreground, and I am very happy how everything looked. I had a lot of pleasure doing this page. Not so easy to work with so many green colors, but why I do love this part, apart from being able to color many cute animals, is that it have summer pictures, spring pictures, pictures for various holidays, so you can color it throughout the year. And I'm sure that now when I realized a little bit, when I got used to this paper, it will be easier for me to continue, and I definitely hope that in the end of the next year I will be able to show you much more interesting works from this book, because book is simply amazing, simply amazing. I love it as much as I love my Menuet de Bonheur, but probably paper in Menuet is a little bit better because there I can work with watercolors. Now let's move to other animals, but in totally different style. I have two books by a Russian artist, Victoria Klein. This one was her first book, My Best Fantasy Bestiary. She also has the book which is called My Sweet Bestiary, I believe, but I have only these two. And here I finished 2 pages. Paper here is very thick, very good, and I do love to work in this book doing acrylic layers first and then working on top of it with various other mediums. Here on top of acrylic I applied a little bit of pearlescent watercolors, and then for the central area I worked with Derwent drawings, I believe, and couple of Prismacolors. And my second finished work here It's almost completely made with acrylic paints. It's a nice book for me to practice. You know that I'm totally novice with acrylic paints, but here at least I know how to use them. Of course, I don't know how to do texture or fur, but I can practice. And in the second book, which is dedicated to zodiac and various zodiac signs and constellations also, I completed just one page, this one. It's Sagittarius. Again, I used acrylic gouache for the background, then mix of artisan and Darren drawings for the main image, I believe, so various pencils. I do love this color palette which consists of orange, gold and turquoise as a bright spot, like an addition of some other color here. I do love this color combo and it was very interesting to do. I also love that the size of the page isn't very big, so work goes relatively quickly here. Next book will be Sagar och Zakner. Amazing book, again, sadly unavailable now to purchase, but I hope that you managed to download wonderful Christmas freebie which Emery Lindehol Oberg created for us. And it has a lot of cute animals on that freebie, but of course a lot of cute animals we have in all her books. So let's start. I know that recently, I think couple of months ago, I did a review of my progress in this book, but still, if I do a completed annual review of my own all books in my collection, I decided that I still want to have a look at these wonderful pictures once again. I still don't know why I can't finish this title page, but you probably have noticed that I don't usually do title pages in all my books. I think that I did title page in one of Hanna Carlson's book and probably in Manuel de Banner, and that's all. Here we have on the right my recently finished picture, which I did in the very end on the last day of the November, so it's quite fresh. I tried to create here already a winter atmosphere, that's why I added all those snowflakes, that's why the roots of this wooden house are covered by snow, and that's why my mouse is in very cute sweater. And I do love this page. Mostly here I used polychromoses, but also a couple of Prismacolors for this pastel colors mostly. Very cute. And here on the left we have one of my favorite ever finished pictures. I did a video which I called how to use 10 various mediums on one page, and that's exactly what I did, because here I used Derwent Ink Dance, Derwent Graffiti, and then I think polychromoses, watercolors, acrylic paints, gouache paints. I even can't remember, but I think that I used various mediums, but still the result is one of my favorites. I love that everything on the background is made in dark muted colors, but still it's interesting to look at, and it really helps to create this atmosphere. And lady is quite nice. And I love this contrast between a very warm, a very bright village in the very center, and how I added those rays of light coming from the lighthouse. I really want to do this one. It's already a couple of months in my plans and I still don't have enough free time for it. So sad. It's another winter picture which I did probably a couple of years ago. Again, background made with acrylic paint to create this matte surface. Then on top of it I worked with pencils. Mostly I can see that here I used Prismacolors. Maybe I haven't had polychromacies at that time yet, and I think that now I would prefer to mask all black lines, at least on the hair, and it would look much more spectacular. This page probably was my second. I believe, yes, that it was my second finished page in this book, so it's quite old, but still I love it so much. It's my traditional way to do background in this book using simply one color of acrylic, creating this matte, nice, opaque plain surface. And then here I combined a lot of different drawings. They really helped to create all these very natural looking colors on the leaves, and Prismacolors for this very bright sweater. I think that it was one of the first attempts where I really liked how I colored white animal, white fur. Before I was really intimidated by this idea. This one is the only one page where I tried to use watercolors, but something went wrong. I think that I also tried to use salt to create interesting stains, but the result wasn't very good and I abandoned this page. I know that now, having neon colors and pencils, I will be able to save it, but I simply know that I also have a lot of other pages here, so I'm not particularly interested. I remember that I did this page during previous November and I still love it so much. It was fun because previous December was month where I colored several pictures with white bears, and it was one of them. I think that princess is very cute, and I deliberately tried to use a lot of warm colors for her dress, for her coat, and of course for the fur of the deer, for the foxes, so it would create a nice contrast to the surrounding background. I also added some snowflakes. I don't know if they're visible. I think that I draw them using one of the gel pens, so instead of white now they look a little bit blue, but still they are visible and that's good. It was one of the summer projects, but not this summer, probably previous year. Again, a very simple background, but this time I used two colors of acrylic, very similar, but still there is slight difference, a little bit more yellowish, a little bit more green, and everything else is colored with polychromacies. I think that it was first time when I used them on this paper, and I realized that I really love to use them here. I can say that I managed to do nice fur on the bunnies, but all other details I do love. I called this one August Magic. I tried to turn this background into some kind of magical mirror. That's why I draw this wooden frame and I try to create this surface which has some white cracks and pastel colors. Mostly here I used Prismacolors, I believe, and maybe a couple of polychromacies, but definitely a lot of muted turquoise, some chartreuse colors here, and of course a lot of great lavender. I can recognize it everywhere. This is my night cat. Again, background made with acrylic gouache. I really love this very deep blue color, and on top of it some shiny pearlescent of watercolors in pastel blue and pastel pink and white and silver stars. Yes, silver stars. So cat is my lunar cat, that's why he is blue. And I do love its fantasy way. Here I used polychromacies. I can recognize it by these slightly muted colors here Maybe I also added a couple of different drawings which I do love to use in this book. I think that they really suit the style of Emily Lindehol Oberg. And I even discovered that my different color soft behaved quite nice in this book. I love this one because color palette was unusual for me, and my starting idea was that I want to do this color on the hair. Again, I think that I used Posca for white dots and stars, and now instead of white, after just 1 year, it looks pink. So it's absorbed pigment from Prismacolor pencil. A background again made with Turner acrylic gouache, and for the rest I combined Prismacolors. I believe that color along video is available on my YouTube channel, so if you want you can follow. Oh, my poor bunny. I did this page for Easter, maybe previous year, and from the very beginning I was sure that I totally ruined this page because I did a very active, so bright green background that I didn't like it immediately. But then gradually, when I started to do flowers, when I did this poor bunny, when I tried to add some bubbles here with neon colors on top of acrylic, now I think that I managed to save it, but still with more calm, muted color of the background, it would look much nicer, at least for my taste. And this page I did for this Easter. I think that now it turned into some kind of personal competition. How many colors of acrylic paints I would manage to use in this book for the backgrounds. Again, on top of this magenta background, I used a lot of pastel pink and gold watercolors by Fine-Tech and Koloro, and I think that it matches the main image, which I obviously did with Prismacolors. On the right, another one of my attempts to do a picture for Easter, I believe 3 years ago, and here I experimented with some stencils on the background. You can't see them because I almost completely masked it. I didn't like the effect. I do love how this blue cap teacup looks, but I can't say that background really helped this picture. Maybe here, without this background, the main image would look much nicer, but at least birds are quite cute. And picture on the left I love with all my heart. I enjoy doing these berries. I think that yellow berries really look nice together with this grey-green or blue-green color for the leaves, and then the other type of leaves with a little bit of red. And here I really enjoyed doing this beautiful tail of the fox. I think that I used some fine liners together with pencils. I think that I used Prismacolors. I can recognize them from the colors on the gnome's head. And again, it's one of my favorite pictures. Still, I try to show all highlights from the lantern, here on the pillow, on the fur, a little bit on the gnome's cheeks. So I think that the whole page looks quite cozy and warm. Another old project which I still love a lot was my attempt to do this very decorative background which a little bit reminds about Northern Lights, at least that where I got my inspiration, but it also had some shiny silver stars and dots. And the moose is so cute on this image. I decided against adding texture of the fur. Again, I simply concentrated on using a couple of brown colors for creating a little bit of light and shadows, and I think that it suits the style of Emily Lindehall. I don't want to turn her animals into very realistic with a lot of details on the fur. Instead, I always concentrate on the composition and on harmony of colors, so to say. And I do enjoy how she usually put a lot of berries, a lot of mushrooms. For me, it's very cute. Usually, I prefer to color in this book during the last months of summer and during fall season. I don't know why, but somehow for me it's my autumn book. And this wasn't an exception, and this red, oh my god, I always forget how to correctly pronounce the name of this fairy tale in English. Red Riding Hood again. So, okay, so I did it during this autumn. Maybe I exaggerated a lot when I did all the details on the background. I wanted to turn trees into birches, so that's why the bark is white with a little bit of black and grey. On the leaves I used Derwent drawings, and the rest is Prismacolors. I decided that I want to try some unusual color combos on the leaves, so she looks a little bit creepy, but still I like her. This one is also not a new project, it's an old project which I did when we all tried to do something in memory of Catherine, and I tried to use her favorite colors. Here I think that I combined some Derwent color softs and some Prismacolors, and again acrylic background and even soft pastels for these clouds in the center. Here was page where I discovered how well Derwent color softs behave on this paper. Even this background, which looks like something from soft pastel or from neocolors, I did it with color softs. And you can recognize here all nice colors which we have in color softs. A lot of those pinks and violet colors which I do love in color softs, then yellow greens which are also not bad, and bright green which usually I don't like to use because it doesn't look natural for leaves, but here for the snake it looks quite nice. I think that maybe I have to color more with color softs here, at least they won't be abandoned. When I look at these pictures, I realize that I want to do each and every of them. And it's one of the books where I usually color quite easy. I usually don't have problems with color choices. I usually prefer to do a very simple background. So it's a book when I usually use when I want to relax. Again, it was one of the earliest projects. I even don't remember, probably pencils for the background. It's difficult to say, maybe even pastel, because I can still see these stains from soft pastel. And here I combined Derwent drawings for the mountains probably, and for the hair of the troll, and for the foreground Prismacolors. I love to do this, I don't know, cherry wine or raspberry houses. I think that together with green colors, with gold colors, they look very nice. And that's another page which I did in last December when I had a series of white bears. I'm proud of this page because all this background, these mountains, these small villages, everything I added from myself. I draw it myself. I'm proud. I added this white areas to represent that heavy snow is falling. I tried to create this sweater like a focal point, so I used this unique color to attract attention, and for the background I used more muted colors, so we have some kind of frozen lake behind, hills covered by the snow. That's why I used a lot of pastel blue, mix it with gray, mix it with green. I love this page. I can't say that I do love this poor bird. I tried to slightly change the shape of the bird to make it look a little bit more like cardinal, but I think that it doesn't look very cardinal similar. Anyway, the rest of the page isn't bad, and I still consider it as a success. Here I have page where I tested my color blends and aqua blends pencils. So that's why it made in limited color palette. I tried to combine pencils from both sets and I tried to check how they behave. And background is soft pastel, I believe. My final page here will be this Santa, and I think that I published it on the January 1st, couple of years ago. I deliberately didn't make clothes of Santa in red colors because in my country previously, before we absorbed this Western tradition of Santa in reds, we called it like Grandfather Frozen, and it's like Ded Moroz. So Grandfather Frozen, he usually wears blue coat, so that's why I decided that I do want to use blue for this page. The background looks very soft, but it's Prismacolors. I added some kind of soft clouds and maybe not very visible snowflakes, but they are available on the background. They are slightly visible. I think that I used some diluted gouache and stencil for the snowflakes. Maybe now I would prefer to mask black lines to make this small Christmas tree a little bit more realistic, to mask some black lines on the bird, on the coat also, but I still love this one. It was my last finished picture for this book, and now we will go to the Coloring Haven magazine, where pictures are in totally different style. It's one of the most successful issues of this magazine in my opinion, because it has designs by Jody Bergsma, and I don't think that there is a coloring book by Jody Bergsma available, so they very successfully transformed her beautiful watercolor paintings in these designs. And as usual, when I love coloring book, I almost never color on it, so in this beauty I have just one finished page, and as usual I have a lot of plans and I never color on it. I think that I will have to adjust. Oh no, it's okay. So here I used a lot of gouache colors because I really wanted this picture to look more like painting, so I wanted to get rid of the lines, and I covered the whole background. This huge stone, this some kind of mountain, these trees, everything I covered with gouache. And then I started to work with Derwent drawings mostly, and again a lot of white gouache on the feathers. A very nice magazine, and I would love to color more here. So many nice designs. Simply don't ask me why I haven't colored in it. Now I'm not intimidated to do animals, to do birds, and compositions here are very interesting. I even purchased special sets of colors for this magazine, and still just one finished page. Shame for me. Anyway, let's move to other books. Maybe they are not exactly about animals, but I had to include them somewhere. Fun thing that I wasn't able to find my Shakespeare's book, the third one from the series which I own, so it will be somewhere in the next series, and today we will be looking at Escape to Oz and Escape to Christmas. I think that I included these books here because recently I did this, maybe a couple of months ago, I did this spread with animals. So that's why book also was included in this animal chapter. Okay, now it will be easier for you to see all the details. I love these books because apart from beautiful designs, paper is so nice for all the mediums. Here I used watercolors for the background and even granulating watercolors here in the center. So just one granulating moon glow watercolor helped me to create this interesting area with interesting, very picturesque stains. Here I have spider, which I definitely tried not to turn into something very spooky, even if it has these strange red eyes. Anyway, it was nice to do. And sorry, but we will be moving from the last to first pages. Somehow it's easier for me to flip in this way. This one I started to do as a simple relaxation for me. I even hadn't planned to create video about this spread to film it. First I used couple of shades of blue Inktense and couple of shades of violet purple Inktense colors to create backgrounds on various styles. Then I added for the contrast those wooden colors for the frames, for the pavement, and then for details I used various mediums from Prismacolors to some markers. And I do love this spread. Nothing special, but it was easy and relaxing to do. Usually I don't do such ornaments or wallpaper time of pictures, but sometimes when you don't want to think too hard about your pictures, it's nice to do something like this. Another page where I used Daniel Smith's Moonglow watercolors to create this background is here. I love to color crows and ravens because I do love to color their black feathers by adding to black some additional colors like a little bit of blue, a little bit of purple, a little bit of green on the necks. So I hope that it doesn't look very sinister, because I think that at least background helps to create some interesting atmosphere here. Here I have a spread, but between the right side and left side I think that I had almost a 6 months break. I decided to do this very simple background using green acrylic paint. Then I did this whole right side using various Prismacolors. Then I abandoned it, and after 6 months I finally did the left side. Good thing is that I filmed everything, so I consulted my own videos about the same colors for these ornaments, for the leaves, for the emeralds, so now it looks like a nicely finished spread. The only terrible thing here is this poor dog. It looks really terrible. I don't know why, but I didn't manage to do nice black fur on it, so it suffered a lot. Now let's move in the middle of the book, where I have this scarecrow spread. Again, a lot of watercolors, then a lot of white gouache to outline all the clouds, and a little bit of pencils, mostly on the scarecrow and birds. I think that mice here are very cute. And when I just got this book, I wanted to move from the first page. I hope that I will be able to do it, to color in order, but I started to do this title page. Then I managed to do a couple of spreads, again of watercolors and Prismacolors. Watercolors mostly. And then I abandoned this idea because here I wasn't happy with this very strange background. Now I think that I will simply cover it with acrylic to mask this ugly background. And I slightly lost my interest here. And when I started to color not in order by simply selecting pictures which are inspiring for me, I slowly started to color in this book again. What else I prepared for you? And I have prepared Kanoka Yeguza. I know that I already made a lot of review videos for these books, so if you want to save your time, you can finish to see this series because there will be the last books for this video. But if you want together with me to look once more at all my finished pictures, I will be very happy. Just let me adjust my camera.